Good morning, everybody, and a happy Thursday morning. Yes, we have some royal family news, but this is a super long video because we are covering what happened with Harry and Sentebale. We are covering Meghan's trailer for her podcast that dropped. There is a lot in here, so let's just jump in and get started, shall we? Let's go. We're going to start off with King Charles, who on the 24th of March received the Joint Chiefs of Staff of the United Kingdom and France at Windsor Castle. You guys remember when King Charles was in Ireland, he held that reception for the Cooperation Ireland for Future Leaders program at Hillsborough Castle? Well, some more fabulous photos came out. Nice handwriting. All right, next up we have the 40th Annual Butler Trust Awards, which were hosted by Princess Royal at St. James Palace. This took place on the 25th, I believe it is, and the king showed up unexpectedly. He was a surprise guest. Now, Princess Anne has been the royal patron of this trust since 1985, and she champions their work to promote excellence in UK prisons, probation, and youth justice. And we're still going to stick with King Charles and Queen Camilla because on the 25th, the two of them came down the steps. That's the Duchess of Gloucester behind them. And they were launching the Queen's Reading Room Medal. And this took place at Clarence House. This medal that she launched is to celebrate people who champion books and storytelling in their local communities. The king watched her give a speech and he looked so proud when she came down from the steps. Now, there were lots of guests there on that particular night, including Anthony Horowitz, Anne Cleves, Peter James. They were all there, along with supporters of the project. And also, her son was there. Also, during the reception, Queen Camilla viewed the design of the new Queen's Reading Room Medal and met the judging panel, who will pick the very first recipient, which will be announced next year. Oh, way to go, Camilla. Moving on. Next up, the Royal National Lifeboat Institution. You guys know it's a charity in the UK that helps to save lives at sea. Well, on the 25th, it marked the Duke of Kent's 56th anniversary as president. How fabulous. Let's go back to King Charles and Queen Camilla. You guys know that they have a trip coming up next month, and they were supposed to visit with Pope Francis. However, it's being announced that, quote, the Majesty's visit to the Holy See has been postponed by mutual agreement, as medical advice has now suggested that Pope Francis would benefit from an extended period of rest and recuperation. The Pope just returned to the Vatican this past Sunday after being in the hospital for 5 days for double pneumonia. So he's very frail. He looks sick, but hopefully with some rest, he'll be fine. Charles and Camilla will arrive in Rome Monday the 7th for an official welcome before engagements in the Vatican on Tuesday to celebrate the 2025 Jubilee. And just so you know, traditionally that's held every 25 years. The Jubilee is a special year for the Catholic Church, and this year's theme is Pilgrims of Hope. And we also know that while they're in Rome, Charles and Camilla will celebrate their 20th wedding anniversary. Let's move on to Edward, the Duke of Edinburgh, who presented the Film and TV Inclusion Award 2025 on March 24th because he's patron of the Production Guild of Great Britain. All right, and finally, I just want to touch on this article. Mike and Zara Tindall, they hold no official royal titles. They get no financial help from the crown. They get no security, and yet they're believed to be worth about £30 million. That would be because they were both sporting people. They got a lot of endorsement deals. Don't forget that Zara is a silver medal winning equestrian star, and it's because of that she got endorsement deals with Land Rover, Rolex, things like that. And let's not forget that Mike is a big, healthy England rugby star who has been earning also endorsement deals from like Pizza Takeaway, Domino's, things like that. Good for them. All right, let's move on to Harry and Meghan. I have been telling you guys for years that the second Meghan was going to pull those children out would be when they could be useful to help her make money, and that is exactly what's going on. She is using her 2 children to promote her business. She puts on these pictures of her cuddling them on her As Ever sites. And an hour later, her Shopify went up. So they're calling it tacky and desperate. Nothing happens by accident. They're saying she would have thought this through, and she knew that putting up a photo of her kids out at the same time would get maximum publicity. And so as a result, it begs the question, if Meghan is exploiting her children who remain in the line of succession, the palace is going to take a very dim view of this. Remember that one of the reasons Harry and Meghan left was because the monarchy would not do commercial endorsements. They wouldn't do the half in, half out. You can't work for the monarchy when you want to, get all the perks of working for the monarchy, but, go out and do this kind of stuff. So the fact that Meghan has now launched an Instagram shop where she's flogging clothing and accessories, and she's earning commissions on each item, but it's more than that. For instance, she's selling stuff for her friends. Do you guys remember Tracy James, who is married to the CEO of Paramount, and she was on the Netflix show? She's selling a black story linen dress that belongs to her. Then, of course, we have the Sesta Collective purses that, Meghan invested in. It's poverty porn. Now she's added a beauty product section, and one of the things that she's selling in there has to do with another one of her friends. Do you guys remember her friend who started the hair care line, and Meghan went to her grand opening? That's right. She's selling that on there too, the high brown hippie line. So you guys have to understand that all she's doing is flogging stuff for herself and her friends, and every penny goes into her pocket. This is not, a life of service. This is a life of self-service. And now we know why people are friends with her. That's the price of friendship, money. Now, if that's not enough, she really wants to be known as Sussex. So at the end of the URL, it says MS, Meghan Sussex. But if you notice, all the articles say Meghan Markle. So she can try for that till she's frickin' blue in the face. And a lot of experts looked at the things Meghan was selling, and they said her price points are ridiculous, that her greed for earning off her title was crystal clear, as the higher the price points on the clothes listed, the bigger the commission she would earn. She did not consider that most people don't live in sprawling mansions worth millions and have thousands of spare cash to throw on clothes. In the UK, they're facing a cost of living crisis. So it's ridiculous that her outfits, the cost point for full outfits is ridiculous. And also people are pointing out that she consistently tries to copy Diana. And people just think that she's creepy when she does that. And I'm one of those people. And now it did come out, they're saying it makes absolutely no sense for a woman who lives in a $15 million mansion and supposedly made 60, 70 million just from Netflix alone. Why would she need to do this? Well, here's why she does. And I've explained to you guys before, she didn't get the kind of money everybody thinks she did. They got maybe 1 million for the bench. They got 1 million or 2 million from Spotify. They made 20 million from the spare, and you have the Netflix deal. So total maybe 60, 70 million. Then you got to pay taxes from that. I have said it multiple times. They did not make the kind of money that everybody thinks they did. Meghan should take a leaf out of this lady's book. Princess Madeline of Sweden. She's gorgeous. She has announced a new business venture. She's doing a natural skincare line called Min Len, but she's not using her royal title because it's a private initiative. She will simply be using her name, Madeline Bernadotte, in the business venture. Princess Madeline actually spoke to the Swedish royal house, and they put out a statement saying that this company was made in dialogue with the royal court, and they assessed that this business activity cannot be combined with her position as Royal Highness, and so it's private and not connected to her title. That's the way to do it. In the meantime, Prince Harry's cousins, Lady Eliza and Lady Amelia Spencer, are launching their own red wine brand ahead of Meghan's brand, which is supposed to be released soon. These are the twin daughters of Earl Spencer. I would be absolutely fabulous to buy some of their wine. I sure won't buy any of Meghan's. By the way, these two also landed on the cover of Hello magazine. Gorgeous girls. All right, next up, I just wanted to touch on this. They're saying that Harry and Meghan are just sick over the speculation of their, marriage state. Well, And also, Meghan put up this picture again. What is it with her and Jam? It's like freaky. All right, let's move on to one of our big stories for today. Harry decided to resign from Sentebale, his own charity, because of the infighting in the organization. Now remember, he established this charity in 2006. Sentebale means forget-me-not. He supposedly did this in Diana's memory. Well, we all know what's been going on. There's been, the African charity and the Baka people and all these, allegations of assault. And Harry was made aware of it. And basically he just, passed the buck and ignored it. That was a mistake. For those of you who are unaware, he quit in solidarity with his co-founder and the entire board of trustees because they're saying the relationship between the trustees and the chair of the board broke down beyond repair, which created a, quote, untenable situation. For those of you who don't remember, back in 2024, Harry tried to trademark under Sentebale some categories like mental health services, psychological and mental health counseling. He also tried to push things through like workshops and organizing of conferences and seminars, etc. Well, the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office immediately gave a thumbs down to all of that. I found that very interesting that that's what he tried to do with Sentebale. Remember, Harry set this up with Prince Ciso. Harry is the only person that's been proven to be a racist and a sexist and misogynistic in his family, and yet he has now been caught in a racist, sexist bullying row with the chairwoman of his charity. Now, this woman came out. She had a statement to make. This is one heck of a statement. Stick with me. She said, I chose to join Sentebale first and foremost as a proud African who understands that when much is given, much is expected. And everything I do at Sentebale is in pursuit of the integrity of the organization, its mission, and the young people we serve. My actions are guided by the principles of fairness and equitable treatment for all, regardless of social status or financial means. There are people in this world who behave as though they are above the law and mistreat people and then play the victim card and use the very press they disdain to harm people who have the courage to challenge their conduct. So essentially what she did was she alleged that there was a cover-up going on at the charity. She said there was weak executive management, abuse of power, bullying, harassment, misogyny, especially against discrimination against Black women. And she took a swipe at, she says, the people in this world who behave as though they're above the law and mistreat people. If you think she wasn't taking a swipe at Harry, pull your ass out of the sand, because let me tell you something, this is exactly what's going on. So what happened apparently was Harry's and the board asked this woman to step back, and instead of stepping back, she decided to lodge these complaints and these accusations. This woman is a Zimbabwe-born lawyer who has been on the board of trustees of Sentebale since 2008. And so the trustees wanted to kick her out. And so she sued the organization, and now they're under investigation. A little bit more information for you in case you didn't know. In the wake of the USAID global scandal, we found out that Sentebale was a receipt of some funds. Does anybody find it kind of odd that when Harry left the royal family, he had Sentebale, which he's now been basically kicked away from because he's been accused of being a racist and misogynistic. He had Invictus, which has run into all kinds of problems, and they're getting rid of some of the leaders there, and they're losing veterans. He has Travelist, which people aren't paying attention to anymore because he's so busy running around on private jets. This man is sliding down the hill fast, and I don't think anybody's paying any attention to him anymore. And I think Meghan is literally getting to the end where she doesn't need him around anymore. I'm just waiting for this whole thing to blow. I honestly think it will. And I also believe that the only thing Harry liked about this was showing up and having people adore him and drinking alcohol and eating good food and showing up as the quote-unquote patron and telling his sob story. And that's all over now. Harry now and the other prince put out a joint statement and said they were truly heartbroken, but they back those who left and have therefore resigned as patrons until further notice. They say the trustees acted in the best interest of the charity in asking the chair to step down while keeping the well-being of staff in mind. So she in turn sued the charity to remain in the voluntary position. They then thanked all the trustees for their service and are heartbroken they've had to follow through with this act. He says what transpired is unthinkable and we are in shock, but we have a continued responsibility to Sentebale's beneficiaries, so we will be sharing our concerns with the Charity Commission as to how this all came about. Now, I don't know if what she said happened is the truth. I don't know, but it almost sounds like she pulled a Meghan Markle. She was a black woman in a position. They wanted to get rid of her, so she cried racism. I'm telling you guys, karma, it's a thing. Now, for those of you who don't recognize her, it's this same woman right here that Meghan was ordering about, who wouldn't let her stand next to Prince Harry while they were getting that award. Do you remember her? Yeah, I'm going to keep an eye on this story for you guys. Let's move on. Let's move on next to the podcast. Right off the bat, she dropped her trailer, and 30 minutes after, it became unavailable. There was some sort of a technical glitch. I think that's a warning from God. People are also saying that she continues to cling with this podcast to the royal status, which is, listen, we all know she is. She wants to be known as the Duchess of Sussex. So she drops her trailer, and in that gravelly voice of hers, I'm Meghan, and this is Confessions of a Female Founder. A show where I chat with female entrepreneurs and friends about the sleepless nights, the lessons learned, and the laser focus that got them to where they are today. She said we're diving into the highs, and then she has a voice bite of somebody laughing about her business working, and the lows, and then there's another voice bite of somebody else talking. And of course, she says, we're going to get some girl talk. And then she goes, are you saying you're not single now? Have I missed something in the past couple of weeks? What's happening? And the friend goes, can we stay focused, please? And they're giggling and laughing. And like, it's like somebody running their fingers down a chalkboard. She says, and through it all, I'm building a business of my own and getting all sorts of practical advice along the way that I'm very excited to share with you. So join me of Confessions of a Female Founder from Lemonada Media, which, by the way, is also female founded, launching April 8th, wherever you get your podcast. It then ends with, let's do this, ladies. So here's my thought process. Supposedly, it's going to give the kind of advice that turns small ideas into billion-dollar businesses. So if that's the case, then why after 5 years isn't she the head of a billion-dollar business? And of course, as you can see, we then saw her in this studio that supposedly Spotify paid for and built for her in her house when she was doing the last podcast, which we know was a complete Snoozefest. I personally feel like this one is also going to be, people are going to listen the first 1 or 2 episodes, and then it's going to slide down the hill just like Archetypes did. Now, one more little notice. They're saying that Spotify gave Meghan a major olive branch because they also said, hey guys, you can listen to, Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex and blah, blah, blah. I don't think that was any kind of an olive branch. Maybe they're trying to recoup some money. All right, you guys, you know what to do. Hit the like and the subscribe button and the bell for all notifications. Then go down into the description box where you'll find the link to my Twitter, my Gettr, my Rumble, my email, my Amazon wish list, a link to my father's book that's up for sale, and a physical address. For those of you who've donated to my coffee fund, thank you so much. And as always, you guys, have a great day.